When a cop pulled over a black woman for a suspicious car, he thought he'd assert his power, until her lawyer father stormed into the precinct, turning a routine stop into a legal firestorm that brought the city to its knees. Nia Thompson, a 24-year-old medical student, was driving home through a quiet Chicago suburb when a police officer stopped her, claiming her car looked out of place. What began as a humiliating encounter spiraled into a battle of truth and justice when Nia's father, a renowned civil rights attorney, unleashed a reckoning that exposed deep-seated bias. The showdown wasn't just about one stop. It was a seismic moment that redefined power, dignity, and accountability, leaving an entire precinct scrambling and a community awakened. Before we dive into this powerful story of resilience standing tall against prejudice, drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from. If this tale of a young woman and her father fighting back against injustice resonates with you, hit that like button and subscribe to Narratives of Black Struggles for more stories exposing the raw truths of racial inequity in America. Your support keeps these narratives alive. Picture a serene Chicago evening, the suburbs glowing under streetlights, where a young woman's drive home turns into a nightmare of flashing sirens and unfounded accusations. Nia Thompson, armed with her wit and her father's legacy, faces a moment that will test her strength and spark a revolution. Let's step into the story where it all begins. Nia Thompson gripped the steering wheel of her 2012 Honda Civic, its engine purring softly as she navigated the tree-lined streets of Oak Park, a Chicago suburb, on a warm evening, June 4, 2025. The sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, streetlights flickering on, casting soft glows across manicured lawns and brick bungalows. At 24, Nia was a medical student at Northwestern, her braids pulled into a neat bun, her scrubs folded in the passenger seat after a long hospital shift. Her dark eyes, sharp with focus, flicked to the rearview mirror, a habit born in Englewood, where she'd grown up, where vigilance was survival. A worn locket, a gift from her father, Marcus Thompson, hung around her neck, its silver catching the dashboard's light, a reminder of his mantra, "Know your worth, Nia. Never let them take it." She was headed home to her parents' Oak Park condo, a haven after hours of charting patients, her mind buzzing with anatomy flashcards and dreams of becoming a pediatrician. But tonight, a routine drive would become a battleground, a test of her strength, and a spark for her father's legacy. The Civic, a hand-me-down from Marcus, was reliable but worn, faded blue paint, a dented fender from a parking lot scrape, a faint hum from the exhaust. Nia kept it clean, her stethoscope dangling from the mirror, a textbook in the back seat, signs of a life built on hustle. Englewood streets, where she learned to drive, were gritty, but Oak Park felt like another world, quiet, wealthy, safe. Yet Nia knew safety was relative, a lesson from Marcus, a civil rights attorney whose name carried weight in Chicago's courtrooms. He'd fought police misconduct cases, won $1 million settlements, taught Nia to question authority, to carry her dignity like armor. "You're black, brilliant, and a target," he'd said, his voice steady but fierce. "Never forget any of it." Nia turned onto Madison Street, the condo 5 minutes away, her phone buzzing with a text from her mother, "Lena, dinner's ready, baby. Hurry home." She smiled, reaching for the phone, when red and blue lights flashed in her rearview, a siren's sharp wail cutting the quiet. Her heart jumped, hands tightening on the wheel, the locket cool against her chest. She signaled, pulling to the curb, her breath quickening, Marcus's voice in her head, "Stay calm, Nia. Know your rights." The patrol car stopped behind, its headlights blinding, a figure stepping out, silhouetted against the dusk. Nia lowered her window, the evening air warm, her hands visible on the wheel, a precaution drilled into her since she was 16. The officer, a white man in his 30s, approached, his badge glinting, his nameplate reading Officer Daniel Hayes. His face was stern, eyes narrow under a cap, hand resting on his holster, a posture that screamed control. "Evening, ma'am," he said, his tone clipped, his flashlight sweeping the Civic's interior, lingering on the stethoscope, the textbook, Nia's face. "License and registration." Nia nodded, her voice steady despite her pulse. "Yes, sir," she said, moving slowly, reaching for her purse in the passenger seat, her ID and registration in a clear folder, a habit from Marcus. "May I ask why I was stopped?" She handed over the documents, her eyes meeting Hayes's, calm but probing, her father's daughter through and through. Hayes took the papers, his flashlight blinding her briefly, his silence heavy. "Your car looked suspicious," he said, his voice flat, his eyes flicking to the dented fender, the faded paint. Out of place for this neighborhood. Where you headed? The word suspicious landed like a slap, its implication clear. Her blackness, her car, didn't belong in Oak Park's polish. Nia's jaw tightened, but she kept her composure, Marcus's lessons guiding her. Don't give them a reason. I live here, she said, voice even, pointing down Madison. 5 minutes away, on Grove Avenue. I'm a med student, just finished a shift. She gestured to the scrubs, the stethoscope, her tone polite but firm, laying out her truth, refusing to shrink. Hayes's eyes narrowed, his flashlight sweeping again, as if searching for a lie. Med student, huh? He said, skepticism dripping, his hand still on his holster. This car's got a tail light out. Step out for a check. Nia's heart sank. The tail light was fine yesterday, checked by Marcus himself. She opened her mouth to protest, but Hayes's tone sharpened. Now, ma'am? Nia exhaled, unbuckling, her hands visible, stepping out onto the curb, her sneakers soft on the pavement, her locket glinting. Hayes gestured to the rear, his flashlight on the taillight, which glowed red, intact. Must have been a glitch, he said, unconvincing, his eyes cold. I'll need to search the vehicle. Nia's pulse raced, anger flaring, but she thought of Marcus, his voice. Stay calm, but don't consent. I don't consent to a search, she said, voice firm, hands at her sides. I've done nothing wrong. Hayes's face hardened, his hand twitching toward his radio. You refusing an officer's order? He said, stepping closer, his bulk imposing. That's grounds for detainment. The threat hung heavy, the siren's echo fading, the street quiet but for a dog barking nearby. A white couple walking across the street glanced over, their steps slowing, their whisper sharp. Nia felt their eyes, the weight of being seen, judged, targeted. She stood tall, her locket a talisman, Marcus's words her shield. Know your worth. Flashback, Inglewood, 2017. Nia, 16, sat in Marcus's study, his law books towering, his desk piled with case files. He just won a settlement against the CPD, a black teen wrongfully arrested. They'll test you, Nia, he said, his eyes fierce, his suit crisp despite late hours. Cops, teachers, strangers. They'll see your skin, not your soul. Stay sharp, stay calm, call me. He'd given her the locket, engraved with truth, a promise of protection. That night, she'd memorized her rights, her father's number, his strength her anchor. Back on Madison, Nia held Hayes's gaze, her voice steady. I'm not refusing, sir. I'm exercising my rights. Am I free to go? Hayes's jaw worked, his radio crackling as he muttered, possible noncompliance. A second patrol car pulled up, lights flashing, another officer stepping out, a white woman, badge reading Officer Kelly. Nia's heart pounded, but she stood firm, her phone in her pocket, Marcus's number a lifeline. I'd like to call my father, she said, voice clear. He's my attorney. Hayes smirked, his flashlight steady. Attorney? Huh? Go ahead, but stay where I can see you. Nia pulled her phone, hands visible, dialing Marcus, her breath quickening as it rang. The street felt smaller, the couple across the street filming now, their phones glinting, Hayes's eyes narrowing. Marcus answered, his voice deep, urgent. Nia? You okay? She explained, voice calm but firm, Hayes's suspicious claim, the taillight lie, the search demand. Marcus's tone hardened, a lion roused. Stay calm, baby. I'm coming. Don't consent. Keep your phone on. Nia nodded, pocketing the phone, her locket cool, Hayes's smirk fading as he sensed a shift, a storm brewing beyond his control. Nia Thompson stood on the curb of Madison Street in Oak Park, her sneakers planted firmly on the pavement, the warm June air heavy with tension as Officer Daniel Hayes loomed before her, his badge glinting under the streetlights. The red and blue lights of his patrol car pulsed, casting eerie shadows across her 2012 Honda Civic, its dented fender and faded paint now a symbol of his suspicious claim. Officer Kelly, the second cop, stood nearby, her hand resting casually on her holster, her eyes scanning Nia with a mix of curiosity and caution. Nia's braids were neat, her locket gleaming, her hands visible at her sides, her phone in her pocket still connected to her father, Marcus Thompson, whose voice had promised a reckoning. The couple across the street filmed, their phones steady, their whispers sharp, while a small crowd gathered, neighbors in sweatshirts, a jogger pausing, their eyes on Nia, Hayes, the unfolding drama. It was June 4th, 2025, and what began as a routine traffic stop was spiraling into a battleground of truth, dignity, and power. Hayes's flashlight swept the Civic again, its beam lingering on the stethoscope dangling from the mirror, the medical textbook in the back seat, as if searching for a lie to justify a stop. "You sure you live here?" he asked, his tone skeptical, his eyes narrowing, the word "here" laced with doubt. Oak Park, wealthy, white, not a place for a black woman in a beat-up car. Nia's jaw tightened, her heart pounding, but she kept her composure. Marcus's lessons her anchor. "Stay calm, Nia. Know your rights." "Yes, sir," she said, voice steady, her gaze meeting his. "Grove Avenue, 5 minutes away. I'm a med student at Northwestern, coming off a shift." She gestured to her folded scrubs, her tone polite but firm, refusing to shrink under his scrutiny. Hayes' smirk returned, faint but sharp, his hand still on his holster. "Med student," he repeated, skepticism dripping, as if her ambition was a fiction. "We'll see. Stay put while I run your plates." He turned to his patrol car, radio crackling, leaving Nia with Kelly, whose silence felt heavier than Hayes' words. Kelly's eyes flicked to the locket, the phone in Nia's pocket, her posture tense but neutral. "You okay, ma'am?" Kelly asked, her voice low, almost human, but Nia sensed the trap. Any wrong move could escalate this. "I'm fine," Nia said, voice even, her hand still visible, her locket a talisman, Marcus's voice a lifeline to the open call. "I'm almost there, baby. Hold on." The crowd grew, a dozen now, some filming, others murmuring, "What's she done?" Just a stop, right? Their eyes await Nia felt but didn't bow to. She stood tall, her sneakers scuffing the curb, her mind racing but calm, trained by Marcus to navigate these moments. Englewood, where she'd grown up, had taught her vigilance, cops patrolling corners, profiling her cousins, stopping her brother for looking suspicious. Oak Park was supposed to be different, a haven her parents had earned, but Hayes' stop proved otherwise. The locket was cool against her chest, engraved with truth, a gift from Marcus at 16, a promise of protection. She clung to it, to his voice, to her own strength. Flashback. Englewood, 2019. Nia, 18, sat in Marcus's law office, his desk piled with case files, his walls lined with diplomas and news clippings. Thompson wins $2 million in police brutality case. He just settled a wrongful arrest suit, a black teen beaten for resisting. "They'll test you, Nia," he said, his suit crisp, eyes fierce. "Cops see skin, not soul. Stay sharp, call me." He gave her the locket, teaching her rights, his number, his strength her shield. That night, she memorized the Fourth Amendment, her father's legacy her armor. Back on Madison, Hayes returned, his radio silent, his face unreadable. "Plates check out," he said, handing back her license, but his tone held no apology. "Still need to search the vehicle. Step aside." Nia's pulse spiked, anger flaring, Marcus's voice clear. "Don't consent." "I don't consent to a search," she repeated, voice firm, hand steady. "I've done nothing wrong. Am I free to go?" Hayes' eyes hardened, his hand on his radio. "You're making this difficult," he said, stepping closer, his bulk a threat. "Noncompliance is grounds for detainment." Kelly shifted, her hand on her holster, her eyes flicking to the crowd, now filming openly, their phones a silent jury. "Sir, maybe we," she started, but Hayes cut her off, his voice sharp. "Handle the crowd, Kelly." She hesitated, then moved toward the onlookers, her radio crackling, leaving Nia with Hayes, whose smirk returned, colder now. "You think you're smart? Huh?" he said, voice low, meant to intimidate. "Call your daddy all you want. This is my street." Nia's heart pounded, but she stood firm, her locket gleaming, Marcus's voice a roar in her ear. 2 minutes, Nia. Hold on." She met Hayes' gaze, voice clear. "I know my rights, sir. You need probable cause. You don't have it." The crowd murmured, some nodding, others filming, their voices rising. "She's right. Let her go." A spark of support in the darkening street. Hayes' jaw worked, his radio crackling, his control slipping as the crowd grew. Now 20, their phones a wall of light. Headlights flashed, a black Mercedes screeching to a stop, its door slamming as Marcus Thompson stepped out, his suit impeccable, his presence a storm. At 50, Marcus was tall, broad-shouldered, his bald head gleaming, his eyes fierce, a civil rights attorney whose name shook precincts. The crowd parted, phones turning to him, Hayes' smirk faltering, Kelly freezing mid-step. Marcus strode forward, his briefcase in hand, his voice deep, commanding, cutting through the night. "Officer Hayes, step away from my daughter. Now." Hayes blinked, his hand dropping from his radio, his badge suddenly small. "Sir, this is a routine stop," he stammered, his voice wavering, But Marcus's gaze silenced him, a lion facing a cub. Routine, Marcus said, voice low, sharp. You stopped a black woman for a suspicious car, lied about a taillight, demanded a search without cause. That's not routine, that's profiling. He turned to Nia, his eyes softening, checking her safety, then back to Hayes, his tone steel. You're done here. She's free to go. Kelly stepped forward, her voice cautious. Sir, we're just… Marcus cut her off, his hand raised, his briefcase a weapon of authority. Save it, Officer Kelly. I'm Marcus Thompson, her attorney. You violated her Fourth Amendment rights. Step back, or I'll have your badges by morning. The crowd gasped, phones filming, their murmurs rising. That's Thompson. He's gonna tear him up. A wave of awe and defiance. Hayes' face reddened, his hand twitching, but he stepped back, his radio silent, his control shattered. Nia exhaled, her locket cool, Marcus's presence her shield. Get in the car, baby, he said, voice soft but firm, opening the Civic's door. Nia nodded, sliding in, her hands steady, phone still on, Marcus's voice a beacon. We're not done, Nia. They'll answer for this. The crowd cheered, phones raised, Hayes and Kelly retreating to their cars, the night alive with the promise of justice. The Oak Park Police Precinct buzzed with fluorescent lights and the hum of radios as Marcus Thompson strode through its glass doors, his black suit crisp, his briefcase a weapon, his eyes burning with purpose. It was June 5, 2025, hours after Officer Daniel Hayes had stopped his daughter, Nia Thompson, on Madison Street, claiming her car was suspicious. The precinct's lobby was sterile, beige walls, a reception desk, a bulletin board with wanted posters, but the air crackled with tension as Marcus entered, Nia at his side, her braids neat, her locket gleaming, her scrubs swapped for a blazer. Her face calm but fierce. Behind them trailed Lena Thompson, Nia's mother, her eyes sharp, her dress elegant, a retired teacher whose quiet strength anchored the family. The crowd from last night's stop had grown online, videos of Hayes' actions trending on X with hashtag Justice for Nia, fueling a fire Marcus was about to unleash. This wasn't just a stop, it was a reckoning, a chance to expose bias and demand accountability. The desk sergeant, a middle-aged white man with a buzz cut, looked up, his badge reading Sergeant Malone. His eyes flicked from Marcus's suit to Nia's blazer, Lena's poise, a flicker of recognition crossing his face. Marcus Thompson, the attorney who'd won millions against the CPD, was here, and trouble followed. Can I help you? Malone asked, his voice cautious, his pen pausing over a logbook. Marcus set his briefcase on the counter, its leather gleaming, his voice deep, commanding. I'm Marcus Thompson, representing Nia Thompson, he said, gesturing to his daughter. Last night, Officer Daniel Hayes conducted an unlawful stop, violating her Fourth Amendment rights. I'm here to file a formal complaint and demand an investigation. He slid a folder across the counter, its contents meticulous, Nia's statement, timestamps, crowd video links, a legal brief citing case law. Malone's eyes widened, his hand hesitating, the precinct's hum faltering as officers nearby glanced over, sensing a storm. Nia stood tall, her locket cool against her chest, her gaze steady, Marcus's strength her shield. Last night, after the stop, they'd returned home, Lena's dinner cold but her hugs warm, Marcus pacing, drafting complaints, calling allies. Nia had replayed the stop, Hayes' smirk, the suspicious lie, the crowd's phones, a mix of fear and fury fueling her resolve. We're fighting this, Dad, she'd said, voice firm, and Marcus had nodded, his eyes fierce. They picked the wrong family. Malone opened the folder, scanning Nia's statement, his face unreadable. This is serious, he said, voice low, glancing at an officer behind him, a young black man who watched silently, his badge glinting. I'll need to call the lieutenant. Marcus leaned forward, his presence filling the lobby. Do that, he said, voice steel. And tell Chief Daniels I'm here. He knows me. Malone nodded, picking up a phone, his fingers quick, the precinct's tension thickening as officers whispered, radios crackling. Lena touched Nia's arm, her voice soft. You okay, baby? Nia nodded, her blazer crisp, her heart steady. I'm good, Mom. Dad's got this. Lena's smile was fierce, her eyes on Marcus, a partnership forged in Englewood struggles, in courtrooms, in raising Nia and her brother to fight. The lobby filled, reporters trickling in, alerted by X-posts, their cameras ready, a community activist with a megaphone outside, chanting no justice, no peace. The precinct was a pressure cooker, and Marcus was the flame. Lieutenant Sarah Bennett, A white woman in her 40s emerged, her uniform pressed, her badge shining, her face neutral but tense. "Mr. Thompson," she said, extending a hand, her voice professional. "I'm aware of the incident. Let's discuss this in my office." Marcus shook her hand, his grip firm, his eyes unyielding. "We'll discuss it here," he said, gesturing to the lobby, the reporters, the activists' chants echoing. "Transparency's the issue, Lieutenant. My daughter was profiled. Let's address it openly." Bennett's jaw tightened, her eyes flicking to the cameras, the crowd outside growing, now 50, their signs reading "Stop Racial Profiling." She nodded, gesturing to a conference room, its glass walls offering little privacy. "Fine," she said, voice clipped. "This way." Marcus, Nia, and Lena followed, reporters pressing against the glass, phones filming, the precinct's hum now a roar. Officer Hayes and Kelly stood by a desk, Hayes's face pale, Kelly's eyes down, their badges small under Marcus's gaze. In the room, Bennett sat, her hands folded, Marcus opposite, his briefcase open, papers spread. Nia and Lena sat beside him, Nia's locket gleaming, Lena's eyes sharp. Officer Hayes reported a suspicious vehicle. Bennett began, her voice measured, reading from a tablet. A taillight issue justified the stop. Marcus raised a hand, stopping her, his voice deep, cutting. The taillight was functional, he said, sliding a mechanic's report across the table, timestamped last week. Hayes lied. He demanded a search without cause, threatened detainment. "That's profiling, Lieutenant, and it's on video." Bennett scanned the report, her face unreadable, the crowd's chants seeping through the glass. "Videos can be misleading," she said, but her tone wavered, her eyes flicking to Nia, whose calm gaze held her accountable. Nia spoke, voice clear, steady. "I'm a med student, Lieutenant. I live here. I did nothing wrong. Hayes targeted me because I'm black, driving a used car. That's the truth." Her words landed, Bennett's hands tightening, the room silent but for the activist's megaphone outside. Marcus leaned forward, his briefcase a fortress, his voice a blade. "This isn't isolated," he said, sliding a second folder, CPD data on racial profiling, case law, prior Oak Park complaints. "Your precinct has a pattern. Hayes' stop is a symptom. I'm filing a federal complaint, requesting a DOJ audit, and suing for damages. Unless you act now, suspend Hayes, investigate, retrain, this goes public, and your precinct falls." His words were a grenade, Bennett's face paling, the crowd's chants swelling. Justice for Nia. Flashback, Chicago, 2015. Marcus, 40, stood in a courtroom, his suit sharp, defending a black teen shot by police. Nia, 14, watched from the gallery, her locket new, her eyes wide as Marcus's voice thundered, citing precedent, exposing bias. The jury awarded $5 million, the officer fired, Marcus's name cemented. Later, he told Nia, "Law's a weapon, baby. Use it for truth." That day, she vowed to fight, her path to medicine a parallel quest for justice. Bennett stood, her voice tight. "I'll review the evidence," she said, gathering the folders. "Hayes and Kelly are on desk duty pending investigation. We'll cooperate." Marcus nodded, but his eyes held her accountable. "You have 48 hours, he said, standing, briefcase snapping shut. "Or we go to court." Nia rose, her locket gleaming, Lena's hand on her shoulder, the family a united front. Outside, reporters swarmed, cameras flashing, the activist megaphone roaring, the precinct a battleground, Marcus's fire a beacon for change. The Oak Park Community Center was packed, its auditorium buzzing with voices, camera flashes, and the hum of anticipation on June 10, 2025, 5 days after Marcus Thompson's confrontation at the precinct. Rows of folding chairs held residents, black, white, Latino, activists with signs, reporters with mics, and city officials shifting uncomfortably. A banner read, "Justice for Nia." In racial profiling, its letters bold, a testament to the firestorm sparked by Nia Thompson's traffic stop. Marcus stood at a podium, his black suit crisp, his briefcase open, his eyes fierce, a civil rights attorney whose presence commanded silence. Nia sat beside him, her braids neat, her locket gleaming, her blazer sharp, her face calm but resolute, a medical student now a symbol of resistance. Lena Thompson, elegant in a navy dress, sat nearby, her eyes sharp, her teacher's poise anchoring the family. The crowd, 300 strong, waited, phones filming, ex-posts trending with hashtag Justice for Nia, the precinct's walls still shaking from Marcus's demands. This wasn't just a meeting, it was a reckoning, a chance to demand justice and reshape a city. The stop had exploded online. Crowd videos showing Officer Daniel Hayes' suspicious claim, his taillight lie, his search demand, now viewed millions of times. Marcus's precinct showdown, caught on reporters' cameras, had fueled protests, editorials, and calls for reform. The Oak Park Police Department, under Chief Daniels, had suspended Hayes and Kelly, launched an internal review, and promised retraining, but Marcus wasn't satisfied. Suspensions aren't enough, he told Nia, pacing their condo, drafting a federal complaint, rallying allies. We're exposing a system, not just a cop. Nia had nodded, her locket gleaming, her resolve steel. Let's finish it, Dad. Chief Daniels took the podium first, his uniform pressed, his badge shining, his face strained under the crowd's gaze. We're committed to transparency, he said, his voice measured, reading from notes. Officers Hayes and Kelly are on leave, and we're reviewing policies to ensure fairness. The crowd murmured, some clapping, others booing, signs waving, fire Hayes. Daniels raised a hand, his voice faltering. We hear you, he said, but his words felt hollow, the crowd's chants rising. No justice, no peace. Marcus stood, his presence silencing the room, his briefcase a fortress, his voice deep, commanding. Chief Daniels, your review is too late, he said, his eyes locking on Daniels, who sat, face paling. My daughter, Nia Thompson, was profiled, harassed, threatened for driving while black. This isn't one officer, it's a system, your system, with a history of bias. He held up a folder, its pages thick, CPD data, Oak Park complaints, case law, crowd videos. We're filing a federal lawsuit, demanding a DOJ audit, and seeking damages. You failed Nia, and every black resident here. The crowd roared, clapping, signs waving, cameras flashing, reporters scribbling, the auditorium a pressure cooker. Nia stood, her locket gleaming, her voice clear, cutting through the noise. I'm a med student, a Chicagoan, a daughter, she said, her gaze sweeping the crowd, landing on Daniels. I did nothing wrong, but Officer Hayes saw my skin, my car, and assumed I didn't belong. That's not policing, that's prejudice. Her words landed, the crowd cheering, some standing, others filming, their phones a jury. I'm not just fighting for me, she said, her hand on her locket. I'm fighting for every black person stopped, searched, scared. We deserve better. The applause thundered, Lena's eyes shining, Marcus's nod fierce, the room united in her truth. Daniel stood, his voice tight. We're addressing this, he said, but the crowd drowned him out, chanting justice for Nia. A black activist, Maya Jones, took the mic, her voice afire. We're tired of promises, she said, her dreadlocks swinging. Fire Hayes, retrain your force, or we'll march every day. The crowd roared, signs waving, the auditorium shaking, reporters live streaming, erupting with hashtag Oak Park Reckoning. Marcus raised a hand, silencing the room, his briefcase open, paper spread. This isn't negotiation, he said, voice steel. We filed with the DOJ, citing a pattern of profiling. We're suing for $5 million, naming Hayes, Kelly, and the precinct. Unless you act, fire Hayes, implement oversight, fund community programs, this goes to court, and your precinct falls. His words were a grenade, Danielle's face paling, Bennett and the crowd shifting, reporters typing furiously. The crowd cheered, standing, their applause a wave, phones filming, the activist megaphone outside echoing. No justice, no peace. Flashback, Chicago, 2020. Nia, 19, marched with Marcus at a BLM protest, their signs high, their voices hoarse. A cop shoved a black teen, Marcus stepping in, his suit a shield, his voice citing law, defusing the clash. Later, he told Nia, change is a fight, baby. Law, streets, heart, we use it all. That day, she chose medicine, vowing to heal, but also to fight, her locket her reminder. Bennett approached, her uniform stiff, her voice low. We're investigating, she said, eyes on Marcus. Hayes' report has inconsistencies. We'll cooperate with the DOJ. Marcus nodded, his eyes unyielding. You have 1 week, he said, briefcase snapping shut. Or we go public with more evidence, witnesses, prior complaints, body cam footage. Bennett's eyes widened, the crowd murmuring, sensing a shift, phones capturing every word. Nia spoke, her locket gleaming, voice steady. This isn't about me, she said, eyes on Daniels. Bennett, it's about trust. You broke it. Fix it, or we will. The crowd roared, standing, clapping, signs waving, Lena's hand squeezing hers, Marcus's eyes fierce. Reporters swarmed, mics thrusting, questions flying. "Mr. Thompson, what's next?" Marcus leaned in, voice clear. "Justice," he said. "For Nia, for Chicago, for every black life you failed." The crowd erupted, the auditorium a battleground, the firestorm spreading, a city awakened by one stop, one family, one truth. The Chicago Tribune's front page blazed with a headline on July 15, 2025. Oak Park Precinct faces DOJ audit after racial profiling scandal. A photo of Nia Thompson, her locket gleaming, standing beside Marcus Thompson. His suit sharp, their eyes fierce. The article detailed Nia's traffic stop, Officer Daniel Hayes' suspicious claim, Marcus's precinct showdown, and the community center's firestorm, now a national story. X trended with hashtag Justice for Nia. Videos of the stop viewed 10 million times, protests swelling across Chicago, signs reading "In profiling now." Nia sat in her parents' Oak Park condo, the newspaper on the kitchen table, her coffee cooling, her braids loose, her locket warm against her chest. Marcus sipped tea, his briefcase open, paper spread, while Lena, in a sweater, chopped vegetables for dinner, her eyes soft but proud. The condo was warm, its walls lined with family photos, Nia's graduation, Marcus's courtroom wins, Lena's students, a haven where justice was planned, love sustained. Nia's stop had changed everything. The Oak Park Police Department, under Chief Daniels, had fired Hayes, citing policy violations, and placed Kelly on probation, her body cam footage showing hesitation but complicity. The DOJ audit, prompted by Marcus's complaint, uncovered 50 prior profiling cases, sparking calls for reform. Marcus's $5 million lawsuit moved forward, deposition scheduled, the precinct's budget strained. Community programs, youth outreach, bias training were funded, a concession Marcus had demanded. Nia, now a symbol, balanced med school with speaking engagements, her locket gleaming, her voice clear, urging change. Marcus set his tea down, his eyes on Nia, his voice deep. "You proud, baby?" he asked, his suit jacket draped over a chair, his tie loosened, a rare moment of rest. Nia nodded, her coffee mug warm, her smile steady. "Proud of us," she said, her locket glinting. "We didn't just win, we woke people up." Lena laughed, her knife pausing, her eyes shining. "You two are unstoppable," she said, her voice warm, her teacher's wisdom grounding them. "But don't forget to eat. Justice don't work on empty stomachs." The condo was a fortress, its kitchen a war room. Marcus's laptop glowed, emails from allies, NAACP, ACLU piling up, his phone buzzing with reporters' calls. Nia's textbook, open to cardiology, sat beside protest flyers, her med school peers texting support. "You're a legend, Nia." Lena's recipe book, dog-eared, held notes for a community dinner, a fundraiser for black youth. The stop, Hayes' smirk, the taillight lie, had faded, replaced by purpose. Nia thought of the crowd, their phones, their chants, a community rising with her. Flashback, Englewood, 2013. Nia, 12, sat on her stoop, Marcus teaching her chess, his voice calm, his eyes fierce. "Every move's a strategy, Nia," he said, "moving a knight. Life's a board, and they'll try to checkmate you. Plan ahead, fight smart." A cop car rolled by, its lights flashing, Marcus's gaze steady, his hand on hers. That day, she learned strength wasn't loud, it was calculated, rooted in love, ready to strike. Nia sipped her coffee, eyes on the Tribune. "What's next, Dad?" she asked, her voice steady, her locket warm. Marcus leaned back, his smile sly. "We keep pushing," he said, tapping the lawsuit papers. "Settle for $3 million, fund scholarships, a black youth center. The DOJ audit's just the start, reform the CPD, statewide training, body cams mandatory." His voice was a map, his vision clear, his legacy Nia's inheritance. Lena set a bowl of peppers down, her eyes on Nia. "And you, baby? Med school's enough, but you're out here changing laws." Nia laughed, her locket gleaming. "I'm good, Mom," she said. "I'll be a doctor, but I'm fighting, too. Kids like me need both healing and justice." Lena nodded, her smile fierce, Marcus's eyes shining, a family united in purpose. The doorbell rang, a delivery of protest signs for tomorrow's march, organized by Maya Jones, the activist whose megaphone had roared at the precinct. Nia answered, her sneakers soft on the hardwood, signs reading, "Nia's fight is ours." Maya hugged her, dreadlocks swinging, voice warm. "You're a spark, Nia," she said. "Chicago's burning for change. Nia grinned, stacking signs, her locket a talisman, her resolve steel. Weeks later, Nia spoke at a rally, her locket gleaming, her voice clear, thousands cheering, signs waving. Marcus stood beside her, his suit sharp, his briefcase a shield, Lena filming, her eyes misty. The lawsuit settled for $4 million, funding scholarships, a youth center, and CPD training. Hayes' firing sparked resignations, the precinct's culture shifting, body cams mandated. Nia aced her exams, her stethoscope a promise, her protests a vow. Englewood kids wrote her letters, calling her a hero, their dreams fueled by her fight. One evening, Nia drove the Civic through Oak Park, its fender fixed, its tail light bright, her locket warm. A cop car passed, its driver nodding. No lights, no sirens, a small victory, but real. She parked, stepping onto Grove Avenue. The condo's lights warm, Marcus and Lena waiting, dinner ready. The stop was a memory, its pain turned to power, its truth a legacy. Nia wasn't just a med student, a daughter, she was a force, proving worth isn't a car, a badge, or a lie. It's the fire you carry when the world tries to stop you. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to know what true strength looks like. Join us at Narratives of Black Struggles for more stories that shine a light on resilience and justice.